combination. One, I'm a big horror nerd, and I've watched thousands of horror movies since I was much too little to watch those kind of movies. And a lot of movies that had the Elizabeth Bathory real historical figure. I don't know if you all are familiar, but she was a real countess in Hungary who killed, 600 girls or more. And we had just moved to Los Angeles. We'd maybe been there a year, and I kind of had writer's block. And so John said to me, well, why don't you write your favorite thing, write a horror movie? And the idea kind of came from a combination of some of my favorite, kind of girl power, horror movies, vampire movies, Countess Bathory movies, and also being kind of depressed during the George W. Bush administration, and thinking about what was going on in the country and the kind of, I know I'm getting political, but obviously you could see my politics in there already. I feel like there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in America in the last 10 or 15 years, and still, absolutely. And so I think just the combination of the two somehow came to me, and I thought, well, it was kind of an odd combination to kind of meld the two, but I thought I would do it as an experiment, and here we are. So
yeah, and we wanted to work together and make a feature film, and she came up with a great script, and we just said, yeah, let's make this be our first project together. Yeah. So it was fun.
Do you consider this to be like a real vampire movie, or because Bathory could be a demon, or she's never stated to be a vampire?
Right. We call her vampire adjacent.
Yeah.
Right. So she's it's a very similar vein, pun intended. But technically no, she has to bathe in it. She doesn't necessarily have to drink it.
Yeah.
And that's how it's gone. So, some Bathory movies have made her a vampire, but historically she wasn't. She just had to put it on her skin.
Yeah, or at least in her mind. I mean, obviously in real life we think she was crazy and it didn't really work like Botox, but who knows?
Yeah.
But she and Vlad the Impaler are the two main historical figures that a lot of the vampire legends came out of. And so, no, we don't feel like, because it's obviously not really vampire. She's more of a serial killer. But we have little, winks to certain vampire movies in there, like The Hunger and The Buffy Show and that kind of thing, because they're, like you said, there's overlap. So.
Yeah. And she does get the crazy demon eyes when she gets mad. So.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Anyone else? Take one of mine then.
Okay.
What was it like having Stuart Gordon in it?
Really exciting.
Oh, that's cool. You guys know who Stuart Gordon is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever not seen his movie, his biggest movies probably from the '80s are Reanimator and From Beyond. Amazing horror movies.
He's done a lot of H.P. Lovecraft movies.
Yeah.
He did Dagon after that, and he did other things like Robot Jocks,
And Dolls.
Dolls,
Yeah. But
Castle Freak.
Yeah. But because we both, he's a little more sci-fi, although you like horror too, but because, again, I'm such a horror nerd, I wanted to have a couple little nods to classic horror in there with cameos. So I asked some friends who knew different directors like John Carpenter and him and Wes Craven, who do you think would be open to it? And they said, oh, Stuart Gordon, he's so nice, he's so great. So they asked him, he said yes. And then there's one other too. Have a lot of people here seen the original Halloween and Carrie? And if you know who the actress P.J. Souls is, she had the winged hat in Carrie. She was Norma, the mean girl. And in the original Halloween, she got killed with a telephone cord. She has a little voiceover cameo as Leah's mom when Leah's trying to call her mom on the phone. So that was really cool too.
But it was cool. It was cool to work with someone like Stuart. It was kind of like a dream come true because it's my first movie, and then I have this great old horror director on set, and I'm directing him, which is weird, you're the master, and I'm so I'd give him oh, Stuart, I'd give him the direction, and I turn around and look at Lotti behind the camera, I'm like,
I was so, I kind of cried a little when he left that day because I was so happy.
I'm sorry, who was he in the movie?
He was the journalism teacher. He just had that one little part, when she's going to ask for help.
Yeah.
So.
She made his life hell for 4 years of high school because she was constantly writing newspaper articles he didn't want to publish. So
Yeah.
Did he butt in?
Did he butt in?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Did he try to like, oh, you should this in?
No, never. No, he was very, very good.
Yeah,
He was very
he was
good. He, you know, a good director respects another director and doesn't sit there and try to backseat direct or anything like that. So, and I wanted more advice from him than I got, because I was like, oh, Stuart Gordon, listen, how do you handle all the blood? Because it's really hard and it's a lot of work, and I expected some great answer, and he was like, yeah, no, it's hard. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But he's very nice. And actually, on the DVD, when that comes out, finally, there's a special feature where we had some interviews, and he was really nice. He's like, oh, I'll stay and do an interview for that. So he had some nice, interesting things to say in that. So.
How long did you shoot, and how much was the budget?
So we shot for 26 days, which sounds actually generous now. When we talk about it, we know other filmmakers who've made things with much less time. But we shot at the end of 2011 and went right up until Christmas Eve. And actually, we were trying to shoot the fight scene, all the fighting with the knife and the sword at the end, and it was taking forever. And I could tell the whole crew was like, I gotta go home for Christmas in like 4 hours. Can we wrap this up?
Yeah.
So we stopped and we came back and we finished, and then
In January. Yeah.
And the budget was,
I don't mind saying.
Yeah.
Some people have a problem.
I don't know what it is
It
anymore.
was it's about $500,000 US. So yeah, we tried to make it for more, but it's so hard to raise money in the economy over there unless you have a studio behind you. So we finally just kept bringing it down, and that was. I have to say, we brought some other producers in who were really smart about how to make movies like at that budget. So we are very, very thankful that we found those people who, just knew how to get good deals, and they had a lot of friends who had just come all together out of the University of Texas and moved to California, and they were willing to work cheap because they wanted to, get their first movie experience. So
They were good.
So we're really lucky.
But I like to say that we made this entire movie for what the catering budget probably was on the Avengers.
Yeah.
And the Hulk was in that movie. That was way more.
Yeah.
It's kind of big.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
An interesting difference between Swedish and American high school movies is
Uh-huh.
that Sweden always use actors that are very close in age
Okay.
to the high school age, right?
Right.
And I guess the reason is that they don't do that in the US normally. I've heard this for insurance reasons, right?
Yeah.
But
Well-
I'm a little bit curious about this topic and how old you actors were, and what do you think about this? Right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty common in the U.S. to hire slightly older actors, but I think the reason is, well, there's two reasons. One, there are age requirements with the union, with the actors union. So I think if is it under 18, right? So under 18, you're a minor, and they have very strict rules for how many hours they're allowed to work. And if you're minor, you have to still go to what they call school while you're on set. So we have to hire a teacher and bring them in, and it's more money and hassle for us. But there's also a long tradition in the States of hiring actors who are really, really young looking, and they may be much, much older than a high school student, but they can realistically pull it off. So,
And we've seen movies where they're pushing 30, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And you can kind of tell, hopefully these guys pulled it off, because we love all of our cast so much. But
Yeah.
I think that the oldest was about 24.
Yeah. There was a range. It was like anywhere from, I don't think anyone was 18, but
19 to 24.
19. And Allison, the lead girl, she had just turned 21 when we made this movie. So she was right on the edge of becoming more of an adult actress and still being able to play high school. So I think we got her right at the right time. So, yeah.
Do you have any favorite scene from the movie?
Yeah.
I know what yours is.
Yeah.
The foot licking, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh, God,
Wait, no, I don't mean I don't lick her feet or anything. What we do. There's just... You wrote that.
I did.
I didn't make that up.
But I have to say, actually, because that scene, I have a lot of little, you could say rip-offs or you could say homage to other horror movies that I'm obsessed with. And there's a Countess Dracula is a Hammer movie, a British movie from the early 70s that's about the Countess Bathory legend. And that's actually taken, there's a young girl who's captured by like this big Hun, and she she breaks her foot through the shed where she's captive and he licks it, and I was like, I'm gonna steal that. But we knew that, you know, most people would not have seen that, or even if they did, it was like, yay, that they're as big a nerd as me, so they'll know it. But
Nobody saw that coming, by the way, right? Like, nobody knew that was gonna
yeah,
happen.
we like wanted to have one moment that was just like,
What the hell
great
was that?
explosion.
But it was really fun. It was fun to shoot for me. Everyone else was completely grossed out that day. There's a person the director works with called the script supervisor, and it's her job to go through the whole thing. And she's always sitting next to me, and we're both watching the video monitor while we're filming. And so the guy, he's like licking her foot, and the girl just goes, oh, gee, oh. And I look over, and the rest of the crew is like, we can't watch this. Oh, I know this is gonna be good then. And Pat, the big guy, the gardener who had to lick, like all day long, I'm like, you're good for tonight, right? Then we'll do that last. He's like, no, it's great, no problem. I don't, no problem. And Allison was like, yeah, no, we'll be fine. No worries about it. I'll wash my feet. It'll be good. And we get the whole thing set up, and both of them are now they're like, yeah, okay. I guess we're doing this. I was like, Pat, lick the foot. He's like, okay, you got it.
We got it.
Yeah.
He's so nice. By the way, Pat is so nice. He's also a big horror nerd. He writes for the magazine Fangoria, if anyone's a fan over here of Fangoria. But
He's
he's
a
the
super sweet guy.
nicest guy. But
Yeah.
he's so great, like just big, and I love that.
So that was a lot of fun. The other really fun day was the flashback where she kills the other virgin girl back in the 1600s. It was really cool. We actually shot that in a mausoleum outside Los Angeles. And my production designer, she put up curtains, and so it hid all the little name plaques where the people were, where the remains were buried. And we just lit the whole thing with candles and really soft lighting. And it was freezing cold, and like all the girls were like, they had their parkas on until we said roll, and then they had to take their jackets off. And there was just tons of fake blood flying everywhere, and it was really, really fun to do all of that. It was the first day I was like, wow, we really are making a horror movie. It felt like we're making an old school horror movie.
And we had cameos.
And we were in that scene.
The minions who have the hoods.
Yeah.
We were two, and then there were 3 other producers who were also. So I was running around doing a little bit of like Monty Python all day. Bring out your dead.
They took a photo of us, and we made it the Christmas card to everyone that year. And we called ourselves the Abby Normals. You guys know that joke? Yeah. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
Well, we got time for 1 or 2 more. Yeah.
Was there a lot of producers interfering, or did the movie come very close to your original vision?
No, it came very close. I mean, we it was independent, so we were in charge of the whole thing. And Lotti wrote it and produced it, so she was the boss and the creator at the same time, which was really cool.
Well, you were the boss when it came time to be rolling, but
Right.
we split our roles. But for me, I mean, I think it turned out as well or better than I could have imagined. I wrote the first draft of the script 9 years ago. So when you wait that long to realize your dream, you are so happy when it's finally happening. But also, I had to take off the writer hat when the cameras are rolling and be thinking like a producer. And always the money is so tight that I had to someone would come to me and be like, well, we can't afford, in the flashback scene, we were going to have this whole part, like a horse-drawn carriage, black horses and black hair. Like, we can't afford, I was like, I don't care, cut it. We're just going to make this movie. So in a way you don't mind at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, well, we're making it. We have to get it done. This is how much money we have. But I'm very happy. There'll never be another movie. I hope we're lucky enough to make more movies, but there'll never be another movie that's more me and like more about everything that I love than this. So, yeah.
And was it a conscious choice to make the Asian girl the most assertive and the leader?
Yeah.
That was actually, we can give credit to one of our casting directors, the female casting director. She actually originally wanted to make all the mean girls except the Latina one Asian. And we said, well, I don't think I like that. But I said, what if we make the leader Asian, but she kind of thinks she's white because she's adopted, so she still treats the Mexican girl like shit, Like she doesn't see, so until they get into that, and that helped me write that fight at the end they have right before they get killed, where they're trading the ethnic insults.
thought it was a really fun casting choice, and we did that. And I don't know if you guys.
I love Amy too.
Hey, Amy Akuda, who plays her, she's there's a web show called The Guild. I don't know if you guys have seen that about like yeah, she's Tinkerball in that. But it was just fun because normally the head mean girl is always blonde.
Yeah, exactly. Asians of the stereotype is that they're like not assertive, etc.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
she
That's
completely.
why it was really refreshing.
Yeah, and I thought it was a fun way to flip that, and she totally just like took it and ran with it. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Cute.
What's next?
What's next? Hopefully part 2.
Yeah. If we're lucky.
If we're lucky, yeah.
If you liked it, please like our Facebook page and follow on Twitter and tell your friends. We have domestic distribution in the United States. We're waiting, hopefully, on international. But you know, this is a small movie, no big studio, and so the only way it can be successful is if we get people like, you know, you see it at a festival, then you tell. If everybody tells 10 friends who sees it here tonight, then that is a huge help. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then if we make our money back, then people will trust us with their money again, and then we can make more movies. So that's how that all works. So, yeah.
Well.
And we have one of our investors here in the audience tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you, Frederick.
There's a lot of Kroner in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
cool.
Thank
Is
you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Does anyone not want to die a virgin tonight?
Yeah, come
Toss.
see us, we'll talk more.
You probably have to come up here and get them. They're really, they're kind of sharp. I don't want to throw them too hard.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you guys so much. This is the first time also seeing it with, you know, not an American audience, and we were glad to hear you still laughed, even though some of the jokes are very American. So
You are a Simone de Beauvoir loving crowd.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. All those jokes landed. I was like, great job. Because a lot of Americans are like, huh? Simone who?
Just one last thing. If you're doing sequels starring vampires, please don't make them sparkle.
No!
Boo.
We will not.
Real vampires do not sparkle.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not. And I don't know if you noticed, it's a real throwaway gag, but the book that she's reading in the beginning, Catherine, when they're outside of the school, it was I had my production designer make the cover. It's a gag on Twilight.
Yeah.
It's called Dusk. She's like, why are you reading that? That's crap. So,
All right. Thank you
okay.
guys